surprised me. And it was interesting because I went down into the basement and I turned the corner and all of a sudden I was hit with my father's energy. And my dad died when I was 16.
Oh,
So,
wow.
but everybody has an energy signature, and his is like kind of like an ancient howling wind through a
Kind of
field.
like, kind of like a fingerprint in a way. I mean,
Yeah,
really.
he had a very Viking energy. And I came around the corner and I just went, oh my God. And I got this feeling that whatever I encountered also went, oh my God, like didn't expect me. Well, my dad hadn't seen me since I was 16, and I'm thinking, this is so weird. So I walked over to the wall and I started tapping on the wall, and all of a sudden the wall goes ding, 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 ding. And I go to my friend, hey, this is where the cannonball is. My dad covered it up when I was a kid because we had a cannonball that was stuck in the wall, and it kept leaking rainwater through it. So he plugged it up. And once he plugged it up, we never heard, in the middle of the night, we used to hear something hit the house really loud at like 1 a.m. And it quit doing it after that. But I thought, if that's my dad, this is my way of saying, hey, this is your daughter. You may not recognize me, but here I am.
Yeah, it's it reminds me of like kind of like when you're like a teenager and you go out and you come home, you walk around the corner, around the kitchen, and your parents in there getting a snack, and you run into each other like, hey, what's
exactly. Yeah, it was. It was so strange. I thought, well, what am I going to do? Just stand here and say, hey, Dad, it's me. She. So I went over and I figured I would do it in a more respectful way, just kind of let it sink in a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, that's a beautiful story, but I got to ask you, where did you hide the recorders and the cameras while you were in there? I know you can tell, you can let it out now.
I wish I had, and I kept thinking, I actually did take a couple of photos that, one of them was interesting. My mom was a researcher also. She was a historian, and she's the one that uncovered the history of the house and got it into the Historical Society and all that. But she had this chair in the corner that she always sat in every waking hour with all of her books spread out and her papers spread out and trying to figure this and that out. She was into the Civil War history and stuff. And I took a picture of the chair, and then I said, Moo. Now, Moo is my particular nickname for my mom. So she only ever heard herself called Moo by me. Right. And when she was dying, I held her and I said, Moo. And she came out of her coma long enough to hug me. She recognized me calling her Moo. Oh, so wow. I said Moo, and I took a picture of the chair, and sure enough, just absolute haze all over the chair.
Wow, that's truly a beautiful story, man. That's great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's great. I love that. That's great. I mean, I would listen, if you ever get back in there, can do what you need to do, please let me know.
Oh, yeah. Actually, when that owner sold the house recently, but she sold it to a couple who had children, little children, and she said, I don't want you talking about ghosts to them. And I thought, I just had to laugh because that house loves children. Those kids are going to grow up in the coolest atmosphere. It's very protective of children.
Well, not only that, children haven't been tarnished or toned down from things like that, so they're probably going to see them and not think much of it anyway.
They're going to be future intuitives, yeah.
Right. I love that story. That's great. So let's go on to, talking about places that you like to investigate and stuff. How about there's a couple of them ranches out west, like I can't think of the name, but they got UFOs and they got Bigfoot and they've got spirits. They got
Skinwalker Ranch, yeah.
That's one of them. Then there's another one. It's out there somewhere in Washington or Oregon. I can't think of the name of that one. Gillen Ranch, maybe.
We have a Stardust one or something here in Phoenix area. Yeah.
Yeah, there's one. But it reminds me of those places. That forest we was talking about in Romania. It's got all these. It's got everything going on. You've got UFOs and zombies and vampires. It's like you never know what you might get.
I'm focused a lot of my research on that what we call portal phenomena, where there's a grouping of a cluster of unusual, unexplained things in one area. And I guess the question is it attracted to that area, or does it need that area in order to exist?
Yeah, I definitely think there's places around the world that there's definitely portals of some shape, size. How they got there, don't know. Maybe I do know that people can open portals. Events can do it. But I'm sure there's other things. I mean, I can't prove this stuff, but I just know my world from experiences.
And there's some that shift around too. They'll be there only temporarily, and then they'll move on to a different location. So.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And you know what? And it's like, when people do things that open portals, you never know what's going to come out of those things. Just, I mean, it's not like going. Yeah, it's not like going down to the used car lot and say, "I'll take that one and that one." You're going to get an old beat up Buick or something. You're not going to want. I assure you.
Well, it's fun. I've been doing. I have a series of paranormal romance books, and what I've really enjoyed about it is the first book, "Ghost of a Chance." I got to have this sort of a Scooby-Doo group, going out investigating ghosts, but I got to use all of my practical knowledge about ghosts and actual real life incidents in the book. So you're getting an education. Well, I just finished editing the book 2 of the series, which is maybe going to be called A Hairy Situation. That's a Bigfoot one. And then I'm right now in the process of the 3rd final book, which is about portals. And it has allowed me to do a lot of different theories about portals, to use some real-life incidents and examples of portals. And really just, it's fun to read the romance and the tension and the fear and the scariness, but I love being able to actually put genuine knowledge in there, too.
Yeah, that sounds intriguing. I'd like to read that one. It sounds like a good one. Mm-hmm. Not that any of them, but I'd like to read them all. But the portal one, that sounds something like that.
It is. I've called it Enter at Your Own Risk.
That is a catchy one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. So, hey, all right. So how about the UFOs? Have you seen any of those?
Oh, yeah, a lot. I live in the Phoenix area, and it's pretty
much...
Okay. Right now, I'm actually living directly under where the Phoenix lights were seen. So.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Well, was you there? Was you there, 97, when those came across?
Was I there? Yeah. Actually, I was there the night before I went out to look at Hale Bopp. I looked right at the mountain. I went back inside, and the next night, the night of the lights, I did not go outside. So I missed that.
It was all over the place, though.
Here's the thing. November 1st, okay, that was in March of 97.
97, yeah.
Yeah, the following November 1st, I was riding along the road behind the mountain with my friend. We were going to a Halloween party, and the way that Halloween lined up, they ended up doing the party on November 1st. So we're riding back, and all of a sudden, a grouping of lights, just like the Phoenix lights, comes at us. And I pulled the car off the road, and we just sat there and watched. No sound. It was very low flying, whatever it was. It seemed like there were lights on something, like the edge of something. Mm-hmm. Did not see stars or anything where it went. It just was black underneath. But we both just were stunned.
Yeah, I get it.
Explanation.
I know that from what I've researched and stuff, I actually think that was one of ours that is a top secret that, that's way ahead of our time that we just haven't unleashed to the public, so to speak. I really do think, it was one of ours, like a dirigible type of, I don't know how to explain it.
It was coming from, basically that was the Luke Air Force Base. And if you keep going from where it came from, that was coming in from that direction. And then on that side of the mountain, it was closer to the buried Goldwater range. So there is a lot of activity, military activity. So it could certainly be something of ours.
Now, I know people say, well, why would they fly it over that? But you know what? Maybe they were having problems, and they probably didn't want to, but maybe they're having problems because it's funny they came out and said, oh, it was just flares. Well, I know dang well it wasn't flares. You probably know that, too.
Yeah. And I've seen some other UFOs here that probably the most startling thing I've ever seen was the red-orange orbs. They were probably, I don't know, I'm going to guess the size of a really large basketball or something, but they floated and danced around and chased each other and came on and off. They seemed to be lit from within. They didn't seem to light anything up around them. But a friend and I, we watched those things for, 45 minutes probably.
There's been a lot of reports of those. I mean, a lot of reports. And I kind of think those are some kind of probes or something, or like an intelligence gathering or something. What do you think?
They seem to have life to them. I almost wondered if they were just some sort of weird plasma. But they actually chased each other and stuff, so they were conscious of each other as well. Which
I see. Okay.
Yeah, so definitely not part of a bigger ship, but whatever they are, I guess I would call them maybe some sort of a weird drone. Yeah. Although there was, I was in the middle of the desert where there was nothing, so why they were there?
But you know what? Other life forms, other worlds, they could have and in my opinion, I think they could have like a drone or probes that, or it could be half biological in essence. You know what I'm trying to say? Like even their ships could be half biological. We don't know. Just because it's out of our consciousness or ability to comprehend it doesn't mean that it's not out of theirs. You know what I'm trying to say?
If it's other dimensional, it's entirely possible that all that our eyes can perceive are the light that comes off of it. It'd be sort of like your shadow. You know, if you're walking down the street, you can tell there's a person there by their shadow. Mm-hmm. Maybe we're only seeing that part of it.
Exactly. Well, you know, just like some of the equipment we use to investigate with the in the ultraviolet light type, where the purple comes up, we can't see it with the naked eye, but sometimes you can get stuff. Sometimes, have you ever used any of that kind of equipment in your?
Yeah, you know, we've used thermal imaging, and of course, pretty much every sort of camera that you could come across. We really haven't found that there's anything that can quite capture ghostly encounters like the human.
I know.
And I think there's a reason for that too. I mean, I'm a person who sometimes generates psychokinetic activity. I can make objects move, not intentionally, but spontaneously. But I think when they talk about hauntings and those sorts of things, there's a human factor too. It's almost like we're part of the alchemy.
Exactly. You know, whenever I do I do investigations, but mostly I come in and help people with paranormal problems is mostly what I do. But however, when I do go investigate, I do not let anybody I'm with go in there, or I won't go in with if they got the wrong mindset, wrong attitude, if it's negative, or if they're trying to get in and just poke a bear. It's just, you know, listen, if there's a bear in there, he'll come out and bite you. You don't need to poke him.
Well, I always say this, you know, if you just went to your neighbor's house, or some random house, and you open the front door and you go in, and you start carrying in equipment, and you start setting up, and you start, you know, just talking about other stuff, and you ignore the homeowner, you don't ask for her permission, you know, you're just very invasive. I mean, do you think they would want to receive you and talk to you? They'd be like, get the heck out of here. You know?
Exactly. And, you know, a lot of people, they'll say, oh, my God, evil spirits. But listen, you know, look, I'm psychic medium most of my life, all my life, really. But a lot of these spirits, they're just trying to communicate, get a message across. They're frustrated because, look, 9 out of 10 people, they don't have the ability to see or feel them or hear them. So, they're, you know, a spirit would get desperate. They're just trying to get your attention. They're not trying to be mean, but after a while they get the attitude, what they got to lose to try to get your attention, you know? And not all of them are evil or demons. It's just not that way. It just isn't.
No, I think people confuse sometimes being startled or surprised by something terrifying. And that's where horror movie makers are totally missing the boat. They think that by having something jump out, that's scary. It's not scary. It just surprised you. And we get confused by that. We suddenly hear a voice in the other room or a door slams, and we weren't expecting it. Of course, that's startle. That's not terror.
Right. I was in an investigation last March. I was in this building by myself. There was nobody around me for a quarter mile, and plain as day, there's this voice that says, is that your car over there? And I turned around, I was like, who's looking? There was nobody around. It was just one of them voices that were, what do you call it, I forget the name for it, but anyway, it was one of the just plain as day, and I was like, "Oh, okay, no, that's not my car."
Oh yeah, the disembodied voices are a weird thing.
Yeah, disembodied voices, and it didn't scare me. It like spooked you. You know, it's like somebody comes up behind you, and slaps your hands. You're not scared; you're more spooked. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. But I always tell people, look, don't jump to conclusions. You know, and it could be just a spirit. It's trying to trying to tell you something, you know?
Well, a huge part of what I do is really counseling people on how to reframe what you're encountering.
That is so huge. That is great.
I get folks a lot of times that have been in a house for a while and they keep having problems and they're feeling like victims and they're terrified. And my first advice, I mean, other than some of the basic feng shui that you should observe, you know, keeping a place well lit, keeping paths clear, getting rid of clutter, that kind of stuff. But after that, I usually tell them to keep a spiral notebook out with a pen. And every time somebody has some sort of encounter in the house, write down the details, the time, what happened, who was there, was there an argument, you know, did somebody leave, you know, what was going on. And what always happens is within about a week of doing this sort of thing, they find that what they're doing is they're now getting all the control. They have